Jim, in advance of this next week, Netflix releasing the Vince McMahon docuseries, 6 episodes. What are your thoughts going into it about what's about to happen, what we're about to hear? We don't know what the story will be. A lot of people are afraid it'll be WWE whitewashing everything. And other people are thinking maybe there will be people admitting that Vince was a f***ed up guy in this Vince McMahon documentary.
Well, I'm interested because I've heard some people have said, oh, it's a big burial of Vince and, they're just digging into him. And maybe that's true. It is going to be that, or maybe they're preparing people. So if it's not that bad, they'll think, well, if that's a big burial, then maybe he's not so bad. Who knows, right? Till we see it. But the point is, I got a problem with these Netflix people. And you know this. I told you this. I'm going to now tell the world. They are debuting. It's not like a 6-part series where you get to watch a part once a week. And it's not like a debut of a television program where 8 o'clock Eastern time, right here on CBS, Netflix is putting all 6 of these episodes up at the same time at 3 o'clock in the morning. And you claim to me that there is a strategy for that, but I think that's stupid as shit. What kind of goddamn big event? The Super Bowl, the goddamn Oscars, the opening of an all-night gas station. What happens at 3 o'clock in the fucking morning?
The freak off.
Besides that.
Well, again, it's 3 o'clock in the morning East Coast. That would be midnight on the West Coast. People are still up. And
who wants to start a 6-hour goddamn deal at midnight?
And it sets it up so that if you are an interested party, you can wake up that morning and immediately lay in bed and watch the whole series. You know there's going to be people watching the series. By the time we wake up, there's going to be some crazy wrestling fan who's already watched the whole thing, and they ran the Twitter to get shit out first.
Who has a life bereft of responsibility to such an extent that they can get up on a Thursday morning in the middle of a weekday and watch 6 hours of television starting at 8 or 9 o'clock in the morning?
Wrestling Twitter.
You got me there. All right.
Did you see the comments that, and I don't know when exactly this is from, but this was sent to me by a bunch of people on Twitter. The Chael Sonnen comments about Vince McMahon?
I heard something about it, but I'm willing to be filled in with more detail.
All right, let me just double check to make sure this is a...
And by the way, while you're double checking, what I'm going to say, or was going to say, is that we are going to cover this on next week's, it's going to be the Drive-Thru, and we'll have some other things on as well, but it will be a special episode devoted to the Vince mini-series that we're going to get out as quickly as possible after we get up Wednesday morning or Thursday morning at 9 o'clock and watch this fucking thing or whatever day it is.
All right, let's go to audio. Apparently this is, it says here, courtesy of Flagrant, which I'm guessing is a show. It's Chael Sonnen with 4 other men on a couch. It's like The View, but...
Wait a minute. Now, what do you got more men on a couch now? This program is degenerating.
Well, let's play this. The clip says, Chael Sonnen exposes Vince McMahon for sleeping with men with Andrew Schultz.
A year ago, Vince just got hit. It was like 6 months ago. I'm making up a number, but it kind of feels like about 6 months ago. And I told Jim Roman, it was the middle of a smack off where you're talking trash anyway, but I said, I never met Vince, and I know 11 people that he slept with, 8 of them men, 8 of them women, all consenting adults. So, which is the implication to me. But that's true. That wasn't the joke. And Jim wouldn't run it. It was too hot. He said, man, we can't do it. Like, oh, Jim, I wasn't joking. I was talking trash, but I wasn't joking.
Yeah.
And anyway, I mean, when Vince got Me Too'd out of the business, I did think it was a surprise. But as good as he is, I would not completely count that he couldn't come back. When the men start coming out, it will be a different story.
Wait, he used to bang dudes a lot?
Oh, yeah. But he would hold their careers over them, just like he would the women. It was the same thing. You get paid more, you get pushed more. This is not a secret in the industry. Like, I'm not talking trash. Right? Yeah, not at all am I talking trash. This was very well known. Sure.
Yeah,
very well known.
Yeah.
But I mean, Shawn Michaels, like guys that you would know. There was things.
Wait, he was banging Shawn Michaels?
Yeah, well, or whatever it is that they, but yeah, they had their relationship.
Shawn Michaels pretty
because
good.
You're wondering if I'm like,
Let me pause this for a second. I've not sped this up, and I've not really had a point to stop it. It's just been rapid fire.
And once again, we'd like to thank our sponsors, the Meth Manufacturers Association of America. No, and And I love you, Chael. Now, Chael and I have had pleasant conversations, but Chael is a remarkable, a stunningly accomplished self-promoter. And he's a very smart guy. I don't know that Shawn Michaels, for one, would just come up to Chael's son, and I'm not even sure they're in the same social circles, and say, by the way, I really hated it when I used to have to bang Vince. Or what?
You don't think it'll be Vince banging him?
Well, whichever terminology you're using, the banger or the bangee, no, it's not. It's not well known in the industry. It's one of those well circulated rumors to try to explain Vince's
love of the boy toy, Shawn Michaels.
No, his suffering of Shawn's picadillos and fucking bullshit. His putting up with Shawn Michaels. People tried to explain it that way. But I'm sorry, but of all of the things, honestly, if that was revealed to be a fact, I would be more surprised than I was when I found out that Vince was being sued for taking a poop on somebody's head. Because, the old joke, well, I won't even, the old joke. But nevertheless, no, I'm sorry, but I don't buy this, but I think it's going to get Chael a lot of people talking about it and publicity as we are right now.
Well, again, and I don't know exactly when this is from. It just went up on Twitter the other day from an account, Isaac's Army on Twitter.
Well, that's got to be reliable.
Let's hear the last few seconds of this.
It's like doing a bit. I'm long hair.
Oh, I guess that was it right there. He didn't just say men. He said it was a bunch of women, too.
Well, now, I believe that wholeheartedly. Because that's been somewhat documented, if not by Chael, and he didn't mention any names, by all the paperwork and variety of payoffs and things that have gone on. But we haven't found any men that have been paid off or signed NDAs or kept quiet. And I'm sorry, I just don't see Shawn and Chael sitting down and having that conversation. If it ever did happen, I don't believe it would be bandied about in idle chatter. So
do you see Vince having freak offs with women and other top guys?
Again, what do you call a top guy? John Laurinaitis,
John
I would never.
Cena.
No. Just because of knowing John Cena. John Laurinaitis, I wouldn't call a top guy, but I can believe he'd do it. That was not the most surprising part of that lawsuit to me.
Right. What about Shawn? If it came out in an investigation now, all these years later, that in the 90s, they weren't necessarily sleeping together, but Vince and Shawn would chase women together, would that surprise you?
That would surprise me, not only because at that time, everybody was keeping a pretty good eye on Vince and everybody was keeping a pretty good eye on Shawn, and they weren't crossing paths on a personal level that much, but also at that point in time, I can't see Shawn Michaels when he was dallying with one of his army of groupies wanting that old man around to fucking be, Mr. Blanket, first name Wet type of thing. I can't see, no. A lot of the guys in those days, in the 80s, he'd try to go out to the bars with them and Vince, that is, and they'd give him their finish and all that stuff. But in the 90s, he wasn't going to the bars with the boys, and they weren't inviting him or trying to talk him out of not going. So anyway, yeah, more interesting stuff, but I don't buy that one.
Well, like you said, we'll be reviewing the episodes of the Vince McMahon documentary in the next week. Looking forward to watching that.
And now here's another thing. You said John Cena. Instantly, I could say no. You said, if you'd have said Brock Lesnar, at first, I might have said no because he's a fucking farm boy. He just wants to be in Saskatoon and he doesn't really like to get out in public, but I can buy that. If you said Batista, I'd say, "Oh, fuck you." So it just depends on the individual, but no, I don't see any of that.
Well, we shall see.